Here we go. We are now live. Welcome to the Objective Opinion Podcast, where we talk about sports and entertainment, and anime. Um, it's been a while since we've been on, a couple of days. We just needed to make sure we truly understood what these GMs were thinking, and I'm still not unsure with some of them, Cowboys. But we got myself, Jimmie Walker, along with QaVonta Williams, and we are here just to give you our thoughts and opinions on what happened the past couple days with the NFL draft. It's always a fun, exciting time where it's basically Christmas shopping, and that's what happened. So for us, we're gonna do it like this. We're not gonna go over every single draft pick, but we're gonna go based on the teams and give them a final grade. And we're gonna start. Let's go alphabetical order. We learned ABCs, one, two, threes in grade school. So let's start with the Arizona Cardinals, right? Uh so overall, Q, I'll let you go. Well, this is a NFC West team, and let me go first about this, because this NFC West team, I'll be honest, uh, they got the gigantic overhaul or the big catch. They got so many picks, and I think overall, I'll just keep it short and brief. They're trying to catch up to the 49ers, and I give them a B plus. With Marvin Harrison, uh, and the number one first round pick, he was picked fourth. They got a nice tight end tip out of Illinois. They ended up getting one of the best DBs in the draft, and Elijah Jones out of Boston College. Xavier Thomas out of Clemson, edge rusher. They went defense, they went offense, they went all around. And I'm telling you, like they're picking a decent formula to catch up to the 49ers. I think that might be a team to look out for in the next couple of years because, hey, they have some people. I mean, Kyler Murray may not be there. We talked about this, but they have some pieces in play to eventually become, one of the top teams in NFC West.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go a little bit up. I'm gonna probably go A minus. The reason why I'm going to A because I know this is rebuild year for Arizona. It's
Yeah.
rebuild time. It's time to get the right pieces for your future. So you went and you got you a stud receiver. You got a stud cornerback. You got the pieces running back. You got offensive line. Um, you got you went and got everything that you could get to help build this team up to potentially go up and meet the 49ers and win. Like that's your goal because the rest of your division is all chasing the 49ers. So I give it an A minus, and that's why I feel like it was a great building draft for them. And plus they had a slew of picks.
Yep, too many picks, man. Too many to to count. All right, moving right along, we have the Atlanta
Pyramid timer
Falcons.
set.
And the Atlanta Falcons, people question that first pick. And I tell you what, just based off of that, I wanted to give them maybe something like a C, maybe a D plus, C minus, something like that. But then like I just saw a clip with Kevin Hart and Kirk Cousins. They were sitting in the hot tub, and it was when Kirk Cousins talked about how he got drafted by the Redskins in order to be draft or player capital. You do well in the postseason or the preseason, we trade you off, and we get a whole bunch of loot because of that. And if this is what they're trying to do, I give them a B minus off of this. I mean, I think Michael Penix is ready to play football. I think he's ready. He doesn't need to learn behind Kirk Cousins. But if they're just gonna keep Kirk Cousins with that $100 million arm or ACL that he has, um, yeah, I can easily give them a B minus based off of that pick. And this is for the future, like you mentioned with the previous team. Over rounding out what they did focus a bunch on defense. Um, and you know what? It's questionable knowing that their division can't score anyway. but I understand. Again, I'm not trying to be biased, but I do know a lot of teams are successful because they focus on defense first, and then they came around in the future and got offense. So yeah, again, I give this a B minus grade, C
Uh,
plus actually.
I'm 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 right there with you with the B minus or possible C plus. I'm gonna go B minus. Um, I like you was thinking lower on it, but then I watched Nightcap and I Chad Johnson really made some good points. He was like, none of the top quarterbacks in the league have ever really just started coming out. So this guy, no matter if he's starting this year or if he's behind Kirk this year, is going to be learning behind Kirk, no matter what. And so, yeah, they invested a lot of money on this guy, but potentially your investment is to teach this younger guy the NFL. And not saying that Kirk Cousins would probably be the best quarterback to be doing it, but I mean, Kirk Cousins do it at a high level. It's just typically when the games are prime time, he doesn't tend to show up. But I feel like that won't fall off onto Michael Penix Jr. So um I do like the pick, seeing it from that point. And I mean, like I said, you're getting defensive help. You need that. You're getting offensive help. I don't even know what they got Bijan Robinson. So you're starting to build too, and I feel like that they're still building. They have a lot of building to do, and so I'm gonna give it a B minus. Yeah, that's all I got for them.
All right, and then so I mean, I won't say this is a questionable first round pick that they had, but the Baltimore Ravens moving along to them, they did go defense early, and we know how dominant that defense was last year. I mean, me as a 49er fan, uh, that defense showed up and showed out Christmas Day. That was not a Merry Christmas for myself. They went Nate Wiggins of cornerback for Clemson, and for me, I thought the his speed and agility. Is bar none one of the best in class. And I did like the fact that they came back around and got one of the best offensive tackles in college football out of Washington. So for me, I just want to make it short and sweet. That team, they're ready. That's a B plus. I think there's a B. I think that's a B plus.
B plus for me too. They, like you said, they don't need much defensively. You definitely don't really need much. Yeah, you need some receivers to help out Lamar. I feel like the rookie last year really came on and helped them out. The running backs are pretty good. And Lamar Jackson could be either a quarterback or a running back himself. So offense is decent. Defense is decent. So there's not too much that you need. The only thing that I really know that they need will be a receiver. They picked up one. Probably not. If they got one late, I feel like they should have got one early, but you addressed your needs. Yeah, I'll give you a B.
Yep. Good job on them. And I think we had a lot of questionable like decisions when we were looking at round one, and another questionable decision making team was the Buffalo Bills. They didn't have a first round pick. They decided to forego that or give it up, and but I did, and he's one of my favorite receivers that I watched in college. Their first pick of the draft, number 33, it was Keon Coleman, my Louisiana boy, and his press conference is making waves around TikTok and other social spaces for his sense of style. If you haven't seen it, he loves his Macy's bubble jackets. He learned from his mama to get them in the summertime when it's for winter clothes. But I think that's a good pick. Keon Coleman is not great separability, but he can go up and get the contested ball. They were able to really get a few other pieces, um, defense wise, offense wise. Ray Davis out of Kentucky, I do think I've watched him a couple times. He's a pretty decent running back. And of course, I love that they went and got Tylen Grable out of UCF, who's a pretty decent tackle, I think. So for me, the Buffalo Bills, they redeemed themselves, even though they didn't have a first round draft pick, having losing Stephon Diggs, things of that nature. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. He's gonna need a primary target. I definitely want to think. I give them like a B minus.
Yeah, and I'm definitely in the B minus. Probably I'll probably go C plus. Um, it's a lot of building that you need, and I don't feel like defense was your should have been your main target. I feel like they went heavy defense. You lost Diggs and Gabe Davis. Um, you need somebody. You need more help than just one. You need you lost your two top go to. You need Josh Allen cannot do it by himself. So defense, I do understand that because like we mentioned earlier in episode 2, like if your offense isn't high producing, get a good defense so where your offense don't have to be. But I feel like Josh Allen already get criticized enough, and for him now to not have the weapons that he used to, I feel like the criticism is going to go up. And if that's who you was trying to protect, you didn't do enough for him. You didn't get enough offensive linemen. You didn't get enough receivers.
All right, C minus for the Bills. So Carolina Panthers next, going in alphabetical order. Xavier Legette. This dude here has the deepest Southern drawl out there. I swear he's from South Carolina, and he's going to North Carolina. But I swear that I'm almost talking a big country like him. I love the guy's charisma. I think he's a decent receiver out of South Carolina. But I do think they need a lot more, and they didn't have a lot to get. As far as pick wise, they had just 7 picks. They didn't have the cachet that other teams had, like the Cardinals. For me, they get a C. Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
I think for the most part, Leggett is a premier talent. But I think Bryce Young needs a bit more on the offensive end. I don't see them. I don't think they touched the O line at all. I got it. Let me double check. One,
they didn't.
two,
They didn't.
three.
They
They didn't touch the O line at all.
unless you're counting that tight end,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
was he was block heavy
He
first.
was block heavy first. That's true. And they did sign some O linemen, some vets, which they're gonna rely on the vets. But speaking, I had to sit back and think about it for just a moment. We have the 49ers. They're coming back with all 5 starters. They went and got some offensive linemen. They know that's an expendable. You need more. You need more, especially going into camp. And I haven't checked to see what they got in far as undrafted rookie free agents, but I think you might need a bit more.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you with that. He needs a lot more. Like you're bringing in a receiver to help him out, but that's one guy. You're bringing in a running back to help him out. That's another guy. But your offensive line definitely needs to get shored up. There should be no way you're saying "hut" 2 seconds later, people in your face.
Right, right,
You, you can't play football that way. Then you can't expect Bryce Young to be great that way. And and the defense, I feel like they held their own against a lot of people. They beat CJ Stroud last year. Like, I mean, they
right,
didn't beat too
right,
many people, but
right,
it wasn't because the defense wasn't holding people to a certain amount. It's because your offense couldn't get the ball rolling because your number one was a number 3 where he was at. Your number one, Adam Thielen, he wasn't the main guy in Minnesota.
right,
You don't
right,
have a main receiver. Christian McCaffrey's over there with the 49ers. You don't have a main running back. Well, Chuba Hubbard, I feel like he's a number 2. He's
right,
not a number 1 to me. Tight end, you can't name their tight end. So you need a lot. And they, like you said, they got a tight end, they got a running back, they got a receiver, but none of those will be help if you don't have any time.
right, right. Well, looks like they might be the bottom of the barrel for that already terrible division. A lot of time left to figure things out. But yeah, it's not looking too great right now for year two of Bryce Young. Chicago Bears next up, and they didn't have that many picks, but when you have two number one first round, two first round draft picks, yeah, yeah, yeah.
How many picks do you
How
need?
many picks do you need when you have two first round draft picks? And already off the bat, Caleb Williams is an A grade. You know, I mean, he's clearly a Heisman Trophy winner, one of the best players in college football since when he was in there. And then going to go get Rome out of Washington, and then a tackle following that, like the first three picks. You're addressing a lot of needs right there. I cannot. I'd be a terrible grade if I say anything less than an A.
I will be a terrible grader too. I was thinking B. The first two rounds, I was like, man, and then they went and got the offensive. They went and got the offensive guy, um, to help out. And I know when you're thinking of all the people that they brought in to help Caleb Williams, this is what you had to do. And I do see an A. I do feel like they didn't get an A plus because they did not get any offensive alignment. And the same way I feel about
I
Bryce
feel
Young
that,
is
yeah.
the same way I'm gonna feel about Caleb Williams. If you ain't got time in that pocket, I don't care how many weapons you got. If you can't use them because your quarterback is running for his life,
Right.
just throwing the ball up, it's not gonna be as helpful as you think. But um,
So
I do give it an A as far as their picks and the people that they got to help Caleb Williams.
got you. Well, just segueing off of just needing an offensive line and having time for your quarterback. The Bengals said no more of that. We are going to get an offensive tackle round one, first pick. Big boy out of Georgia, Marius Mims. They went defense, offense after that. I like the fact if I recall back to round four, they got the Iowa tight end. I had hope that 49ers would get him. So I would be just wrong if I can't give them the same grade. They addressed the needs that they needed to get. Getting a receiver, getting an offensive lineman, focusing a bit on the defense with pretty solid defenders and Chris Jenkins out of Michigan, national champion Michigan at that. Um, oh, and I do love Josh Newman out of TCU. They touch a lot of spaces and places that they need, and that offensive line pick out of Georgia. Yeah, I mean, good job. Hopefully Burrow can stay healthy, and he'll show why it's a good job. It was a good job.
Yeah, I'm gonna go A too. Like you said, they hit on everything that they need. Also, um, you're bringing you're bringing in defensive help. You're bringing in offensive help. Like you said, as long as Joe Burrow and also Jamar Chase, he's tend to be leaning towards the injury prone side too. You get both of them healthy. Keep both of them healthy. And you still got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, and uh, you went and got two tight ends, even though you had a decent tight end. I don't know what your running back situation is going to be like because Joe Mixon is gone. And off the top of my
Right,
head, I can't think of number two, and I don't remember them picking up anybody.
right. I can't remember who they picked up, if they picked up anybody. But running backs are expendable. Who needs a running back?
I,
That's
I
what
feel
that's.
like a lot of people do. They say we switch it to a passing league, but if you look at everybody that was Super Bowl bound, the last four teams, all of them had great running backs.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. Cleveland Browns. Like, honestly, they did not have a very memorable draft to me, and I had to go digging and kind of really find some stuff out. And it turns out they didn't have a first round draft pick. I didn't notice that they didn't have one as well. But I have some questionable things about their overall selections. They went defense heavy, and they already had a pretty solid defense. And I can't remember too many amazing offensive players that they have on their squad at this moment. It's Deshaun Watson. I guess he's ready to play. Who knows? I mean, I don't know, but I did love the fact that they picked up Thrash out of Louisville. He's a pretty twitchy receiver. Having watched him play a couple games, pretty good yak guy, and so that's a good pick. I think that's going to be an asset. I cannot give them. I don't know what to give them. A B just by default because I really don't know enough, and I'll be honest, enough of what they need in these situations. I thought they needed more offense, but they went heavy on defense.
Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go B minus, and the reason why is they brought in their 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 second round pick out of all the defensive tackles. They could have went that they could definitely could have went stronger with their defensive tackle. I do have to disagree with you. I do think they got a lot of weapons over there on the offense too.
Well, tell
So
me something because I don't really know too
sure
much.
enough, I mean, you still got Nick Chubb, you got Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Um, they had a breakout rookie last year. I think he was a breakout rookie, if I'm not mistaken. Um, you had some people. David Njoku is your tight end. Your offense is pretty solid. You do need some offensive line help. And your defense, like you said, it's not that bad. You do need linebackers, but your defense isn't that bad. I'm gonna go B minus though because the options that they chose. Yeah, I've seen more people coming out of the draft in those positions that they could have took and just they dropped the ball on it.
Well, B minus for you and B for me. Well, that'll bring us to the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm just gonna give you the grade right now. C. They get a C. Like I'll tell you right now, I do love the fact that they did address. I mean, they got some stuff. They went defense a little bit. Uh, you know, got linebackers out of Notre Dame, cornerbacks. Uh, I personally, we talked about this. They didn't get one of the main needs that they thought they needed, and we thought they needed was which was running back. Uh, I don't know how much better they got, and that's how we determine who gets a good grade or not. I don't know how much better the Cowboys got this draft.
Okay, for me, everybody knows me. I'm a Cowboy fan. I'm gonna be a little biased, but only because after digging deep into what the Cowboys really and truly needed, um, after digging deep into it, I felt like they did a decent job. So I'm gonna go B plus. Despite what everybody else is saying, you come in, you lose Tyler Biotish and you lose Tyrod Smith. Top um offensive linemen that that helped us heavily in our run game and heavily in our passing game. So you go and you get Tyler Guyton, big guy, do, does his job well. Didn't allow too many sacks, and I think he allowed like 7 sacks and 1,600 plays that he did. Um, and then you go. I'm not sure about the edge rusher, but you go and you get this guard that has been named offensive lineman of the year for ACC 2 years in a row, back to back. So you sure up the two big linemen that you need. We go get Zeke back today. I don't know if you saw, but Zeke has signed with the Cowboys, so that
We talking
that
about
feels.
this just the draft, none of that other stuff. The draft, man,
I'm
the
I'm just
draft.
I'm just mentioning everything because we were mentioning how Caleb Williams went and got some help too. So I feel like as far as the draft, when you're thinking draft, if you're thinking, oh, we're finna go get Zeke, is there a running back in the draft that you feel is going to come on and give you that production? I mean, there possibly is, but since they're so
It's a couple.
expendable, as you mentioned, we're already paying Zeke, so might as well just bring back. but then you go get a linebacker, which is much needed. We also and he can study behind Eric Kendricks, the veteran we just brought in. So you got somebody that can study behind him. Um, you got a cornerback help. You brought in a receiver, and then the offensive lineman that they picked late he's a sleeper, and I do feel like the defensive tackle he's a sleeper too. Um, like I said, it wasn't too much in my opinion. As a Cowboy fan, I think we only have one real major piece we need to fix, and that's in my opinion. So we're not gonna bring that up about the draft. We'll probably come back later, but I feel like out of everything else that they could possibly need, they went and picked it up.
All right, there you have it. Biased Q right there talking about the Cowboys, and I mean I'm not mad at him for that. Not mad at all. Denver Broncos up next, and I think Sean Payton got his guy. I mean, as much as Bo Nix has a bunch of flack with it, and people don't think he's that great, and Sean Payton thinks he's the next face of the Denver Broncos. But what they needed to do was add more weapons outside of the quarterback. Obviously, they needed a quarterback, but they need weapons to go along with that guy. And so I think they got that. I think, going to go get uh Aldrick out of Notre Dame. I think I had him like a B in my grade for draft. Getting the receiver out of Utah, Devon, and then another receiver, Troy Franklin out of Oregon. All either B plus, A minus, A guys on the offensive end to help out Bo Nix. So they did some very very good work, I think, and I'm excited to see what they can do this upcoming season. So again, with the Broncos, I give them a B plus.
Me, I'm gonna have to go B minus only because I still feel like one of your main problems was, and you don't get to see it a lot because Russell Wilson tends to make it
I
seem
know
like
where
he
you're going
have
with that, and
it make
but I
it
know where you're going
seem
with
like
that.
he have more time in the pocket than he actually does. There's few quarterbacks in the league that make you think that they have more time in the pocket than they actually do. And so it makes it look like your offense is just that good. But his offensive line, they didn't they that the only offensive lineman that they picked up was their seventh round pick. Now you didn't do anything to help your offensive line.
Yeah.
But like you said, you brought in some stuff to help out the quarterback that you feel is going to take over your franchise. So you can't go lower than a B because you're bringing pieces around him. The defense is sure enough good. You got some defensive players to help out that defense. Um,
Yeah. I
so
think some of it is looking at Sean Payton as a coach. I mean, I remember Drew Brees. We didn't have Saints didn't have a great offensive line at all,
mhm.
and I think Sean Payton as a coach, and that's probably why he didn't like Russell, was that Russell was good at holding the ball, and I think Sean Payton's like get it out. The reason why Michael Thomas is slant man. The reason why I think Sean Payton as a coach is like let's get the ball out, and so you're right. I think they should have addressed offensive line. But I don't think Sean Payton's on a coach to the point where you need 7 steps. You need, I'm thinking 3 steps, the ball's gone. I think that might be Sean Payton, his philosophy. And that is his philosophy. I, he needs to grow up a bit. Honestly, he needs to grow up. That's Payton. The Lions. You know what? The Lions, they were pretty like on it this draft. I think they were I think looking for players that had the same mindset that they already have. Um, I didn't necessarily love exactly them going after, Terrion Arnold, who is pretty solid, but I'm not too sure why they did that first early on in the draft. Um, they went defense, heavy defense. We talking cornerback, got a tackle, safety, D line, um, and then of course inside offensive line. So they went very defense heavy. I think that's just Dan Campbell in a sense of how he builds team identity. He wants that ruggedness. So I'm going to give him a B. C plus, B minus in this. I'll say B minus. They do have a pretty decent in terms of 1-2 punch with their offense with receiver and quarterback, and their running backs are pretty solid as well. So I'm going to give them a B, a solid B for that. Just thinking about what they have on offense already, they do have some pretty solid receivers and pretty solid 1-2 punch running backs. And golf is golf. I mean, people have faith in the guy. You know.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's kind of hard to grade them for me because I mean I know me and you feel the same way about this, but I feel like last season was a fluke, and so
Definitely.
and so we talk like, oh well, they got this and they got that, and yeah, they do have that, but if you feel like we do and you feel it's a fluke, you like, do they really have that, or is it just how things planned out? So
And
if we're going off,
they drafted like they had everything, right?
yeah, but if we're going off how they drafted and how we saw the team last year, even if we think it's fluke or not, if you're basing it off that, to me, it's an A for me because you sure up the main thing because you had no problems moving the ball with Gibbs, Amar St. Brown, Jared Goff, you had no problem moving the ball, and honestly, you had defense to shore up where all your offense need is 21 points. You know they can get 21. They got the defensive players to truly help that out. Basically shore up that defense to where you're not going to put up too much on us, and we're going to put up on you.
Q, your camera went away. Well, uh, Q, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Um, we can keep going, keep moving along. Yeah, I think you're exactly right about that. Just kind of listening to how you sort of explain that. Yeah, they drafted as if they had everything. So, going off of that, you know, that's a solid analysis. The Green Bay Packers, they themselves they decided to protect their franchise, starting out early with an offensive tackle out of Oregon or Arizona. I'm sorry, Jordan Morgan, and they didn't stay. They didn't stop there. They touched the offensive line several more times. Trevor Glover out of Georgia State, Jacob Monk out of Duke. Um, Again, besides that, I also love the fact that they got Edgerrin Cooper out of Texas A&M. To me, this team, they are a threat in the NFC. And given the fact that they were able to get some freakishly athletic players, given the fact they were able to touch things that they need to shore up the future, I cannot give them anything less than a B plus.
Yeah, I have to go A minus. I don't know. I don't I can't argue about any of their picks. All of their picks were what it is very needed for the team. All of their picks very needed, and I gotta go. I gotta go A. I have to.
Yeah, super solid on them. And I mean, they're right there. They're actually right there. And that's what it's hard to really grade teams that are just right there. Um, well, the Texans, we don't know. I'll tell you this. I don't know if they're right there. They had a good year last year, but and they have a stud at quarterback. Um, with that being said, they didn't come off as extremely wow or amazing in their selections. It was just, let's just keep adding to what we have. Much like the Detroit Lions, let's just add to what we have because we don't need much. And that's how they feel. So they went defense early. And I guess for what reason they did that, they didn't have any too many like head scratching picks. You go cornerback, you go offensive tackle, Obviously, you go safety. I do love the fact that they went and got a stud at tight end, Case over. To me, I thought he was like a B tight end, something like that. And then the questionable pick was the sixth round running back. I mean, who's that running back? I can't. Who's that running back? They got
They
Swift, right?
yeah, they got Swift. They went and got Swift.
Uh, I think they could have gotten a running back sooner. But again, knowing that Jimmie Ward got injured last year with a quad, season ending, he'll be back. But they went and got Kalen Bullock out of USC. I, I give them a B. I give them a B. They have players, but they say, okay, players get injured. Let me go get people just in case. Let me get this going. And some of that is D'Amico Ryans coming from 49ers and knowing that, hey, next man up, and you have to have these people ready. So I give him a B for that.
Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go B plus. I feel like a lot of their grade should come from what they got in off season. So their draft, I feel like their draft was just really getting pieces. I don't feel like it's like they didn't get anybody that's like, oh, this is like our cornerback of the future. This is our linebacker of the future. It seemed like they just got pieces to shore themselves up for this upcoming year. They're finna trust in that offense that they developed, put so much talent into this year. They're gonna trust in that offense and just have the defense be the runner up. And I feel like that's how they drafted. And so, like you said, you're getting your needs, but yeah, I feel like you could have did better with it. So I'm gonna go B plus. Yeah.
Yeah, a few places obviously they could have gotten better. You know who got better? I think the goddamn Colts. They got better because hey, the only questionable pick, the first round pick, right? I mean, well, Latu, he's one injury away from never playing football again. Everyone is, but they hey, you know what? That's your number one pick though. You know, I feel like you could have gotten him later, but coming around, getting Mitchell, getting Matt Gun Calves, and the Wisconsin guy, the offensive line from there. You want to make sure that your stud at quarterback, your guy, the ones you're hedging your future on, is healthy. So they went and got a bunch of different things. I think we don't know how great they'll be based on last year, but hey, they might be more fun to watch. And so for me, sticking with that same mindset of getting to some of these areas that you need to get, I can't. I'll definitely, and based on the players, you know, getting Mitchell out of Texas, getting Anthony Gold out of Oregon State, based on these players, uh, and what they potentially needed, um, I'll give them a B.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go B. One thing that they did do is ensure that their quarterback is not being bullied back there. So getting some offensive linemen, as round 3 and 4, probably somebody that could come in, even if they're not starters, somebody that can fill in if one of your offensive linemen get hurt. So you're shoring that up. And like outside of that, I mean, their offense is pretty decent. So I'm thinking go defense. You just need that those couple of weapons for the quarterback Richards. Just need a couple of weapons, and they got the receiver. They got a couple of receivers in this draft, and so I think your best bet is if the quarterback isn't going to come through, as we mentioned earlier, you got to go defense to make sure. As long as our quarterback can put up 14, we want to make sure that you put up 13 or less.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't paid much attention to them and since Andrew Luck, to be honest with you, because they just haven't been worth paying attention to. But hopefully they can get back to being on ESPN, and obviously we'll talk about them when it
Yeah.
comes time for football. Jacksonville Jaguars. Uh, they left a lot on the table when it came to day 3 of the draft, and I was like, whoa, like why, how'd you not get this guy, or why are you leaving this guy on the table? And it was extremely questionable. I said B for the last few picks. I can't help but say C plus, maybe C for this. I do like that they went and got Brian Thomas. uh he was amazing at LSU. They got a couple LSU guys this time around. And I love the safety Jerry Jones out of Florida State on the defense end. They had pretty good day 1 and day 2 draft picks, but rounds 4, 5, all those picks, they just didn't touch what a lot of what they needed. And I don't think they're as close as they think they are, because if they were, when Trevor Lawrence, I know he's your star, but when he goes down, there's some semblance of other things that look like it works well together. They just fall completely apart. Um, so yeah, I can't help but give them like a C in the grade.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go B minus. Their defense is lacking heavily. So they made sure they made sure to shore that up. Defense was lacking heavy. And it has been since Trevor Lawrence has been there. I don't think Trevor Lawrence have even had a top defense in his career with the Jaguars. Ever since Jalen Ramsey left, that defense has not been the same. So you're getting some people to shore up that defense because your offense have been putting up the points. They can go. Their offense could go toe to toe with probably any team offensively, but when your defense is not helping you on your end, that's where the problem lies. Because one thing about these young quarterbacks is they wanna win and they wanna be ahead. So that's where their mistakes come in. That's where Trevor Lawrence interceptions come in. That's where mistakes on the offense come in when the mistakes on your offense show up, what is your defense going to do? And as of right now, their defense isn't doing anything um,
Who's their running
to
back,
help
by the
them
way?
out.
Do you know?
Etienne, Travis Etienne.
Travis.
Um, so like I said, I'm gonna go B minus. You sure up the defense. But I know that you did get some help for him in the off season for receivers. Um, but I feel like offensive line still need a little help, so I'm gonna go B minus.
B minus for the Jaguars, and you know who got an A? The Chiefs. That's who got an
One of
A.
the winners of the draft.
That's who got an A. The goddamn Chiefs. I don't have much to say about it besides the fact that good job, congratulations. Please Joe Burrow win, and here's another Super Bowl. That's all I got to say. You go get a tight end, Jared Wiley out of TCU, and I'm not even gonna talk about the guy from Texas. That's just crazy. Uh, but again, they go defense, interior offensive line, cornerback, everybody that I think they snatched up in this draft. I don't know. I think I had like an A grade for Xavier Worthy. Obviously, Jaden Hicks, safety out of Washington State. I think I gave him like a B grade. Um, Cornerback out of Tennessee. He definitely was like a B grade. Uh, what's the guy? The tight end. I think he was one of my favorites. I had like 3 favorite tight ends in all of college football, and he's up there as well. He's not like my top 3. He's like top 6, but he's up there as far as being one of my favorite tight ends in college football this past year. So that's a winner right there. That's an A.
I'm giving them as one of my 3 winners of the draft. Like I said, you go get receiver help, which is the most crucial part for the Chiefs. The receiver help. They didn't have no help. And if you look at it, their first couple of picks, they traded up for. So their scout team did a great job. They knew when this person should be got. So they traded up for Xavier Worthy. They traded up for Kingsley. I'm pretty sure they traded up for Jared too. Um, but they knew what they were doing. Uh, they got all the pieces that they need, and they when you got Patrick Mahomes and your team, and these are the people that you get. Yes, hello, another Super Bowl.
Hope not. Let's hope that's not the case. The the Chargers are next, right? The Chargers.
Is it the
Uh
Chargers or is the Raiders?
the
Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders. Los Angeles Chargers,
It's,
right?
it's loss versus loss.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was going. Yeah, that's right. So it's the Vegas Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. Let's see. Brock Bowers number one. People aren't too high on him. I'm high on Brock Bowers. He was in my top three of all of tight ends. Um, they decided to shore up and get some offensive weapons early on. They had a very exciting first 2 days of the draft, I think. And they kind of then shift and focus a bit on defense. A lot of the players that they did get, they definitely got A grades for me. Looking at this is a guy that let me see. I think it was the fourth round. Yeah. The Mississippi State cornerback. That dude's pretty. He's super good. I think super talented. He's gonna be CB1 for sure. And then obviously them protecting their quarterback as much as they could with their picks as well. I think that the Raiders get it. They're another winner. They don't have the cornerback, but I think in the draft in general, what they got enough to win the draft. They're one of my winners. They get an A grade from me.
Um, I'm a I'm gonna go A minus. Um, I do know, like you got all the pieces that you needed. I believe in Brock Bowers too. This seemed like a good get you. He's all around tight end, so he's gonna block for you, but he's also gonna go out and get the ball too. And that's one thing you need when you're not sure about your quarterback is that sure person to get the ball. And I feel like typically when it comes to rookies or when it comes to quarterbacks that isn't as high as level as, like the Patrick Mahomes, the Joe Burrows in the league, even them, they use their tight ends a lot. And so you're bringing in a tight end that I feel like is really going to complement your quarterback since you don't have a quarterback that is talked about. I think you have O'Connell and Minshew. I don't know which one is starting this year, um, but you bring in somebody that's gonna help him out. Then offensive line to block for them. So you're suring up these quarterbacks. If whichever one you go with is gonna have some success back there with the ball, and then you go defense on the opposite side of it, and um, that, as we've been talking about, that sures up that even if your quarterbacks can't get it done with these pieces that they're bringing in, you have some help on that backside.
All right, A minus for Q on the Las Vegas Raiders. So now the Chargers. The Chargers. Here's the thing. At first, I was extremely happy with the Joe Alt pick, and I think that's a good pick. I mean, you need that. The Georgia receiver Lad McConkey. I think that is a solid pick, A plus pick right there. And then I just think they fell flat. Honestly, I like the fact that they did pick up 49 great son Brendan Rice, but then they go back and get Cornelius Johnson right after that. Why? Like, why? What are you doing? Like, you're getting identical players, for the most part. Like and I will tell you right now, other than the Georgia receiver and the running back out of Troy, I don't know why he fell that far, but I can't see this being an overall great pick, great draft for them. So for me, I think they're like maybe a B. I give them a B for that. They just, I think they're just like, you know what? We'll pick this guy. We'll pick that guy. We'll pick this guy. Um, and like I said, it was the first 3 rounds, the first 2 days. I thought they just did amazing, and then they decided to just start grabbing people. And pretty much a steal in round 6, but other than that, they just started grabbing people.
Yeah, I was thinking going high too when you started off Joe Alt and getting receiver. I know you need receiver help losing Keenan Allen, but you didn't pick up a Keenan Allen. You didn't get nothing near a Keenan Allen.
Nope, nope.
And so now, and Mike Williams has been injury prone the last 2 seasons, and then as we all know, Quentin Johnston was the the talk of the league last year. Are you going to be a first round pick and drop everything that comes to you? Maybe he's sure up this year. Start working on seeing the ball into his hands before he try to make his move. Maybe he might come on as a receiver to help, but you're not giving Justin Herbert no help. You got rid of Austin Eckler. You got rid of Keenan Allen.
Yep.
These were the scapegoats. Austin Eckler in the red zone, you knew he was getting the ball. If Justin Herbert was getting too much pressure, we knew who was getting the ball. The Keenan Allen. They ain't gonna throw it up to Keenan Allen. And now you don't have a number one. You don't have a running back, and you choose to get them late in the draft when you when you need them. I know running backs went late, but I feel like you waited too late for what you actually need.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I was really excited about Jim Harbaugh stepping back into the professional world, and I don't think he had a pretty good draft this first time around. And we'll see. Maybe um, maybe we'll see as the year goes on. So the Rams, NFC West division. I actually think they're primed and ready to really give us a challenge in the NFC West. Besides the fact that McVay cannot beat Shanahan, I think they have the squad. I think they have, especially with this draft, and I love the fact that they got Jared Verse, first round, pick number 19 out of Florida State. I love a lot of Florida State players. They were able to get the Michigan running back, Blake Corum. I was wondering when he was going to go. People just weren't that high on him. I think he ran like a 4.57 or 4.55. He ran in the 4.5s, and it's a 40s. But I do think he has some speed there that people will find out soon enough. I thought the steal of the draft, one of the steals was definitely Bo Limmer. He destroyed the defense a lot. I've watched, him go up against some LSU tackles, D tackles and things like that. This dude is, you're not getting past this dude. I think he's eventually going to be one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL if he stays healthy. But overall, I do think that they drafted well enough, especially on the defensive end. I think to get like a B plus.
Um, I'm gonna go B plus with you. As we talked about when we were talking round one and round two, they they went to get what they needed to defeat the head honcho, which is defensive players. You need somebody that's going to slow down Christian McCaffrey, somebody that's going to slow down Debo, someone that's going to slow down Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, um, and put a little pressure on Brock Purdy so we can see what he's like with that pressure in his face. So I feel like you go get your edge rusher, you go get a defensive tackle, somebody that's going to share that up. Then you go running back, which is also every team is moving towards this 1-2 punch style of running game where you got running back that come in the first drive, and then one that come in on the second drive. You got your power and your speed. Um, but after that, they go defense, 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 and that's what you need to
Oh
defeat these
yeah.
juggernauts in the league. You need If you're gonna defeat a juggernaut, your defense has to be able to stand toe to toe with them for your offense to even be in the fight.
Right.
And so
Correct.
I'm gonna give them a B plus.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary out there west, out there in the west, man. I'm not gonna lie. The Miami Dolphins, they got Chop Robinson out of edge out of Penn State. They're trying to get them their own Michael Parsons. They're trying to get a Michael Parsons, and I think Chop is going to be talented. It's hard to be Micah, but he is talented. And then going to get Patrick Paul out of Houston. Ah, man, I don't know about this one. I think you had other options out there, especially especially second round. Now the biggest question I had and wondered, why in the heck did they get Jalen Wright out of Tennessee? He is fast. He is super fast, but don't you have enough running backs? Like don't you have enough running backs already? So
Yes.
I'm just confused. I was super confused by this. I gave him a B minus.
Uh, I'm gonna go B minus two. I'm right there with everything you just said. First of all, your running back game is consistently heavy of speed guys. All right, all of them want the ball.
All of them.
I don't care who injury prone and who not. You have multiple to work with. You add another speed guy to your running back core. I feel like out of everything else that you could possibly need, like, okay, what if one of your receivers get hurt? You need some backup. I think your third string was, if I'm not mistaken, Cedric Wilson, the ex-Cowboy, and then what's his name from Pittsburgh that came over? Well, I can't think of his name right now. Um,
Who again?
the receiver that came over from Pittsburgh, he let
Shush. Is it Shushu? No.
no,
Who?
no, I can't think of his name. Oh, Chase Claypool.
Oh, Claypool. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Right.
Yeah, Chase Claypool. So, and neither one of them are just like they. I mean, I guess they're good slot receivers, but I feel like in the draft you had some slot receivers that you could have went for. That is definitely gonna change your offense for you. Um, but like I said, I'm gonna be minus two because I mean you got the team to work with. You got defenders to help out your already studied defense. And so yeah, I'm gonna go B minus.
Well, getting a grade a little bit better than that is the Minnesota Vikings in my book. B minus I gave the previous team as well, but I got to give the Vikings a B. They addressed what they needed to address. I do love the fact that they went and got Will Reichert out of Alabama, kicker, who scored the most points in Alabama history. They will need him to make a lot of points this year because I don't think they're going to be in the end zone too much. I'm just you have I hope hopefully the guy can stay healthy and Jordan Jefferson. But their quarterback, JJ McCarthy, he hasn't played that much football. To me, he has a lot more football to play, and he's going to be he's going to be a starter. There's not no way you go get a number one quarterback when you don't have a quarterback, and you not put him number one. I'm I don't know. I'm afraid that there's going to be a lot of frustration on the offensive end, and I can't but help but give them a B just for getting the needs met, but they have a lot of work to do in the off season.
I'm gonna go B minus because of the options that they could have went. They definitely skipped on a lot, especially because I mean, your offense now consists of Justin Jefferson. I mean, you don't have
That's
that
it.
run. You don't have that running back that you think, oh, that's that. Yeah, you
Mm-mm.
don't have that outside of your receivers. Like you don't. There's not a guy you like. Oh, well, if Justin Jefferson get hurt, which we know and he's been hurt the past 2 seasons. So who's that next guy up? You're not setting your rookie up for success. And that's why I'm gonna go B minus because you're not setting that rookie up. I feel like the crazy thing is I feel like Caleb Williams, the first pick of the draft, is set up better than uh JJ McCarthy, who's pick number 10, which means your stats should be, I mean, your team should be better. But this guy, Caleb Williams, is set up better than he is. So I'm gonna go B minus because he you didn't give him any help.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. He didn't get enough help. So now I think the Patriots are next. And man, this is the first time we won't see Bill Belichick on the sideline. Such a long time. As long as I've been really paying attention to football,
Bill Belichick's been there.
yeah, he's been there. I think they killed it this draft. Do I want to claim them a winner? I think I can sort of claim them a winner. Drake May pick first round. You go back after that. You go get them a receiver. Then you get an offensive line, another offensive line, another receiver. Seriously, they took the Bears playbook of draft and said, "This is what we're doing." If I gave the Bears an A, I cannot not give them one too, just based on what they did round after round after round. Yeah, got to give it to him. And then they went and go get Joe Milton uh, out of Tennessee. That dude is so much fun to watch. He may win the job over Drake May. I'm not lying to you. He may win the job. He's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with you as far as them getting addressing all of their needs for one, um, but then also making sure that when you are bringing in this person, you are make sure that they're set up for success because for you to rebuild, you have to make sure that who you're rebuilding with it at least got something for you to see. If you don't give them anything, you don't know what they're capable of in year two to really help them out in year three or year four. So them setting it up to where the receivers, he's got help around him. Now, out of this help, what needs to get pushed more? And that's why I like that. I go A two.
That's a good job for them. A good job for them. I will be. This will be shocking and surprising. I will say this. This will be like the wildest take of this entire conversation. The Saints. The Saints get an A minus for me. This is why. If Derek Carr is a micron of what he could be or what he was at his best times in Vegas, they're poised to win the NFC South. I think they go get an offensive tackle, stay upright. All right, Kool-Aid Minstry, right, out of Alabama, one of the best cornerbacks that was in the draft, out of Terrion, the one who went to the Jets. Spencer Rattler, why not? Let's just roll the dice. He might be the best. He might be amazing. You never know. It's a fourth round draft pick. We have our guy, and then they will get a couple down. They get a down the field threat. They already have a decent receiving core. They go add deep threat. They have a running back already. They have two running backs. I'll be honest with you. They have a halfback, and um, he plays halfback, fullback, tight end. Gosh, I can't think of his name right now.
Oh,
Uh,
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. I'm sorry. Um, he's a cult follower. Everyone loves him. All right. They go D line, they go linebacker. Jalen Ford's a solid pick. It's too many picks that they did select. Besides Spencer Rattler, he's a like let's take a chance. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. But he could be the guy at some point. But a lot of what they added, all the players they added to me are solid B or A guys. So for me to say, nah, you guys get like a B plus, B minus, is weird because they added to what they needed. It's just that J. I will say this: I can't fault them for having a terrible coach. That's the thing. I can't fault them for having it because a better coach with this roster would do much better. A minus.
Okay, then I wouldn't put it too much. I'll probably do B. Um, as you said, you got a lot of the stuff that you needed. And your receivers came on pretty good last year. Alave and can't think of the other guy on the opposite side of
You're
Alave.
talking about Shahi,
Oh,
right?
Rashid
Yeah,
Shaheed,
Shahi.
yes.
Yeah.
Um, so you got some young guys coming on. I feel like it was decent. I don't think it was the greatest, but it they definitely. got the needs
They're a
that were
dangerous team
needed.
if you put it together properly. They could be
Yeah.
dangerous. If Alvin Kamara can stay healthy, I got my Alvin Kamara T-shirt right here. I might have to wear it out to Walmart one day. Um, I'm not a Saints fan, guys. If you, I used to work for them. Because I used to work for them, I
Hmm.
got a bunch of Saints gear I just still have. But I'm sorry, go ahead. My bad.
Nah, you good. You good. That's pretty much it. I give them a B. I like it. Just don't love it.
Giants. Hmm. They're in y'all's division. I don't know how scary they feel to you. Um,
And
what do you think? I I don't look. Here's the thing.
I'm
B. I give them a solid B. I don't think they had the draft the Saints had. But you know, Devin Singletary is RB1 right now, and does he replace Saquon? But does Tyron Tracy also, along with him, carry the load potentially? Maybe, maybe so. I know Daniel Jones is the question. We said the same thing about Derek Carr previously. I give him a B.
I give them a B too. Of course, as I mentioned like you know what's in your division. You're gonna have to go against CD Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Martavis Bryant, Jalen Tolbert. You're gonna have to go against AJ Brown, uh, Devontae Smith, and I'm pretty sure they just picked up a rookie this this draft. They got Saquon added to their backfield. Washington over there getting a quarterback in the draft. You got Scary Terry the guard, Dotson and Curtis Samuel. Um, yeah, you it's a lot of offense in that division.
Yeah.
And so you need defense to slow these offensive players down. And so that's why I'm gonna go B because you still didn't you don't have your receiver threats aren't what the rest of the division is.
Right.
So y'all need to figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, and Daniel Jones is I'm pretty sure when no one's putting him in the top in our division of quarterback. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so I'm gonna go B because you did do what you needed to do, but your needs are way dire than what you got.
Yeah. They got some. They got a while before they catch up to the juggernauts of the NFC East. I'd say. Uh, the Jets. I was happy for them early on. Day one, day two, I was like, oh yeah, it's about to be it. But they up. Let's go, A-Rod. Discount double check. I was really feeling that, but I did. Day three, I was like, you add another injured quarterback, Jordan Travis, in the fifth round draft pick. They go back to back in running backs, which I'm confused why they do that. I am just I just don't know. Again, Jordan Travis, it's a Spencer Rattler pick. Um, I honestly would have liked it if the Saints picked um him up. Jordan Travis round five, Spencer Rattler round four. I think Saints could have picked him up and then kind of set, if you're gonna wait on a quarterback, like if he's not ready to play right away, or this
Yeah.
year. I give him a B minus. I think early on I was super happy. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Got an old tackle out of Penn State. Got a receiver out of Western Kentucky. Wisconsin's running back Raylan Allen, super good. I gave him an A minus, A as far as that grade. And then I was like, Travis, Zay Davis, like you go get. I don't even know about the Toronto organized guy, the guy from the Canadian Football League. I have no idea about him. But it's just they just kind of to me unraveled. I'm sorry, with their picks following round day one and day two.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go B solid right there in the middle because I mean, you knew what you needed. Your defense played pretty well. The only real weapon that you missed was a real quarterback. To really take your team to where it needed to go. So you got some people to sure up that that quarterback is safe in the beginning, and then your picks kind of just fall. And I feel like it's too like due to like, okay, this person is good for scheming, but not he's not like, oh, this is the future linebacker of the team. It's more like, oh, he fits in our scheme. Let's get him.
Yeah, just all around, just like uh, I don't think we got to worry about them too much. Depending on which Aaron Rodgers we get, we don't have to worry about the Jets beating. At least the teams in the AFC doesn't have. They don't have to worry about the Jets beating them and taking their spot in the playoffs too much. Definitely not Patrick Mahomes and those guys. The Eagles. Oh man, this is another of the rich gets richer to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Mitchell out of Toledo. They welcome. We got us a white cornerback, guys. Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. I'm excited to see this guy. It was so much stuff when he was in Iowa and people talked about, yeah, it's a white cornerback, and you really don't get white guys playing that position. Um, but yeah, obviously he's athletic enough, he's talented enough, and now he was a second round pick. Um, which is interesting. I mean, I actually thought he was going to probably fall to like fourth round pick, but they definitely got a lot this draft, and they got what they needed this draft. To me, they with the defensive focus, getting linebackers, um, cornerbacks, uh, linebackers, and stuff like that. I give him an A minus. Give him an A minus. The other pick I do love is the linebacker out of Clemson, Jeremiah Trotter. Another solid pick. Clemson. Obviously, a lot of people might not have watched Clemson play this year because they were not the Clemson of old. They didn't do well this year in football, but they still had a lot of good players on that team. And Jeremiah Trotter was definitely one of them.
Yeah. The Eagles, as I hate to say, to me, I feel like are one of the winners of the drafts. So I'm gonna go A plus. You sure up the weakest point of your team, the defense. No matter who they brought in, everybody that they brought in that you felt like was going to make the Eagles defense great failed. You brought in Kevin Byard and the linebacker that they were fighting for, that and them and the Cowboys were both fighting for. Both of them came in and did absolutely nothing for the team. Um, you gotta you just paid AB. You got Devontae Smith, and then you bring in Saquon. You brought a running back because Saquon is injury prone. You got a running back to come in. You got a receiver to play number three, or if one or two get hurt, you you got the linebacker. The linebacker that you picked up is a hole filler. Like you have your linebackers that are either good at coverage or good in rushing, but when you get one that can play and fill a hole or come down like they're finna fill a hole and come move back and play as a defender, I mean, you got offensive line help. I mean, you didn't get a you didn't get a Jason Kelsey. You're not going to find a Jason Kelsey, but you got to find somebody to replace him.
Right,
So
right, right,
you get offensive help. Um, you, they did everything right. They did everything right, and everybody that they picked is top of line. So
right. Hey, they are they're dangerous. They are dangerous. They will be dangerous this year. They were dangerous last year. Kind of fell off towards the end. Again, unraveled quite a bit, but they were, they just can figure it out towards the end. Pittsburgh Steelers. Not much to say besides they did what they needed to do. B plus for me. They needed to address the offensive line. They did that, and just because of that reason, I gotta give them a B plus. They touched on receiver, and they touched on O line. I can't help but give them a B plus for this draft.
yeah, I'm right there with you. Pittsburgh, outside of their quarterback struggles, they didn't really need too much. So they shored up all all the things that could possibly be struggles for Russell Wilson coming in, or if Justin Fields is going to be your starter. So you got everything you need. You got receiver help, and you already had a good receiver in uh what's his name? I'm slipping my mind right
Pickens.
now. Pickens, George Pickens. Um, and now you're bringing somebody in to help him out. I like I said, I heard a lot of Steelers fans talk about, oh well, we didn't use our tight end as much. We didn't use Muth as much as we could use him, and so um, I feel like what you bringing in the quarterback that you brought in, you giving them some offensive line to help. Muth is going to help out, so you bring it. There's plenty of help over there, so I'm gonna give them a B plus too.
And next, Seattle Seahawks. Their first round pick, I got pretty hyped. Brian Murphy, D line out of Texas. DeSoto boy, DeSoto, Texas guy, played down the street from where I live right now. And that was a solid pick. They had a bunch of just really good overall picks. Um, the Yukon interior offensive lineman, another good guy, another A grade for me with that pick. Um, who Pritchard out of Auburn, the cornerback. He's like a solid guy as well. I think he's a B grade. Just a lot of decent guys. And the Michigan tight end, AJ Barner. Again, he eventually will be one of the better tight ends, I hope, in the NFL. Well, not for my sake, because they'll be playing my team twice a year. Um, they themselves, I do think they are a B in terms of their draft grade, based on the team, the members that they will be adding for this upcoming season.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you too on that B. Outside of their first three, I mean, I guess pretty. Like I said, the picks were decent. It's to feel what you need, but the it's just the fact that you could go stronger on some of these. But of course, you had plenty of picks this draft too. So um, I gotta go B because like
Right, right.
it's not nothing that's gonna, make your head turn. But the Seattle Seahawks honestly didn't need too much
Yeah.
to really help them out. And like I said, when you think about the Chiefs, they probably didn't need too much either. But with the picks that they get,
Wow.
it's like over the top helpful versus this is just like these guys could come in. These are people that we want to see them in the league and how they work as themselves in the league versus when you have like somebody like Xavier Worthy, he's that good. And him being with Patrick Mahomes is just going to probably bring out his star even more.
Yeah. Man, it's gonna be tough going against them this year. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be a momentum based game, I think. And speaking of going against them, the team I'm referring to, the San Francisco 49ers, my team, my favorite team. And we had, I'm not even gonna go into it. We had a good draft, you know what I'm saying? We had a pretty good draft. You know what I'm saying? First round we got pretty Ricky Slick Rick, Ricky Pearsall. Um People question that because we have Brandon Ayuk and already Debo, and they're talking about we're gonna shop some of them or one of them or whatever it may be. Because what's he gonna do? Because we already have Greg Jennings, and like, okay, the ball can go around to all these guys. Let's just face it. When you have a quarterback that can toss the ball and give it to everybody on the field, it don't matter. Um, Here's my thing. My favorite picks of our draft this year is cornerback Ronaldo Green. He's gonna be a solid cornerback. I've watched him lock up people like Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, who are high draft picks, who will be stars in the NFL. I've watched him lock these guys up. In goal line, the ball's coming my way, man against man. I think that is an absolute steal at 64. Dominic Pooney, this guy can play every single position on the offensive line, and I think that's going to be needed because what happened in the NFL Super Bowl, Our interior offensive lineman went out, and we had to move somebody over. And then next thing you know, Chris Jones decided to have a field day because people didn't know what they needed to do. Uh, my favorite pick that we got was Isaac Garindle, the fastest running back in the draft. Dude ran a 4.33. Him with Christian McCaffrey. He's gonna fill that Elijah Mitchell position. Elijah Mitchell came out of Louisiana Tech. He got injured a couple times, but he was pivotal in our success in our Super Bowl run of 2020. And I think he's going to be able to spell Christian McCaffrey quite a bit. I imagine, in fact, they run him at fullback and they do a two-back set because he's a big guy. He's at 225, 230, running the 4.3. That's what I'll be honest with you, Q. I was like, yo, the Cowboys not think they needed somebody like that? Like the Cowboys not think they needed a 4.3, 235-pound running back? Anyway, we got him in fourth round. Still, absolute still. And so and again, the fact that we were able to get a linebacker, Tatum Bethune, I love Florida State players. We got two of them, Ronaldo Green, and Tatum Bethune, both B plus A grade guys in my book. The rich got richer, and I'm not saying we are the Chiefs, but damn, we close. We damn close. Chief A plus. I give us an A.
Okay, I feel like y'all are one of the winners of the draft. There's my three right there. Because as you said, yeah, the rich getting richer. Hey, and even if Brandon Ayuk or the whole Debo thing, if any of that happens, I mean, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. But the thing is, what people are not understanding is, what if it don't happen? Now you got a third guy that you got to watch out for. You have a third guy, and when you have three guys that you have to keep in mind, because you if you double team Debo, you got to deal with IU. You double team IU, you got to deal with Debo. You double team both of them, Christian McCaffrey or George Kittle's going to come after you. But now you're leaving somebody one on one, so this receiver could come through and be that that guy that you can't double. Now you either play for the pass or you play for the run, or you just have to get the team to come in and get Purdy off the ball. Um, but you got offensive line to sure that up. Like there's not too much that you guys needed, in the places that you did go. You picked well. So
I feel
I'm gonna
better.
give it
I feel
a.
better. I feel better. I was nervous because people are catching up to us. They are honestly like it's hard to be successful. It was 4 years until we got back to the Super Bowl. So NFL is hard. It's hard, and it's just that window is shutting. We know it. That window's shutting. Everyone else's window is opening up wider and wider. So we'll see, and we'll see what happens. Um, so winner as a winner for you, A minus for me. Uh, yeah, I'm a little bit harder on my team. The Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think there's next. Yeah, they are next. You know, they got a quarterback, right? Signed him in
Yeah.
the offseason. Decided to give him some money because he played well enough to earn some money. So they went right off the bat. Either you're our guy or someone else is our guy, but no matter what, we need to go out and shore up that offensive line. Because there were some times when Baker Mayfield was running for his life, and that's a part of his game. He can move a bit. I love the fact that he went Alabama and got Chris Braswell. He was one of the best edge rushers in all of football. Um, I think, for me personally, I do think that this team is on track to be a player in the NFC South. They did touch on some of the areas that they need to touch on. I give them a solid B.
Um, I'm I'm gonna go A minus. So the reason why
Tell me
is
why.
because okay, you're shoring up that offensive line. I feel like the Buccaneers wasn't too hard off from on a lot of things. Um, So you should secure up that offensive line, give Baker Mayfield some time. Um, just knowing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because we talked about this, they they've always been defense first, and knowing that they're defense first, and you go and get you an edge rusher, you go and get you a safety, to shore up those, the weak points in your defense that you're seeing. So now you're shoring up the weak points in your defense, because we know it's never your team has never been about how much you can put up, because we know they went from Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick leading the league in yardage but not leading the league in points, to Tom Brady, who's not leading the league in yardage, but he put up the points. Um, but it's always that one piece on the offensive team that's missing. And so me knowing how the Buccaneers play, they play defense first. Defense stands first, and they went and got top defensive players to come through, and then you bring in a receiver to help on Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin, and you brought in a running back that's gonna sure up, because their running back isn't too noticeable, too known either. So I'm gonna go A-, because I just knowing that team, and that's how they're going to draft. I'm pretty sure next year they're gonna go defense too. Whatever's missing on that defense, they're gonna go. Just knowing that team, that's why I'm going A-.
That's understood. They will make sure that it is a low scoring game. I'll tell you that right now. The Titans probably want to keep it low scoring as well, because I thought they were going to, based on round one, that they were going to focus in on the offense. They went and got a tackle out of Alabama, J.C. Latham, right? Then they go defense for the majority of the draft, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I didn't think you guys had like this potent offense. They went defense like crazy, knowing that I'm just, I'm just confused. Um, and it was a bit surprising that they did go offensive tackle early on. And I just really thought they were going to go focus in and get some weapons on that offensive end, which they really didn't address at all. I think the only other offensive player that they got was Jaquan Jackson, wide receiver out of Tulane. Tulane, uh, out in New Orleans, they're a pretty decent squad. That was round six. I'm not sure who's still on the board, and I think I'm I can't help but say, you know what, they get a C+ for this. I'm just kind of confused as to what they're trying to do, um,
Yeah,
what their
yeah,
identity will be. They went defense, and at the same time, you know, I don't know if they want to sell tickets. So it's going to be a low scoring game, maybe not a very entertaining game at that.
yeah. I honestly feel like they're thinking rebuild, because you're the biggest problem. The biggest problem that you had was offensive line. It's the biggest problem that you have, and you got one. You got one offensive lineman, and you went and got Tony Pollard, but he's no Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry made your offensive line look better than what it did. And that's not saying a lot of your offensive line wasn't too much to talk about. You didn't get anything to help your offensive line. So, yeah, you got a receiver to go with DeAndre Hopkins. Um, and like I said, I don't know too much about what they did in off season, but offensive line seems to be your biggest struggle. Your defense held you into games, but your offense just it wasn't producing outside of Derrick Henry. Um, like D Hop, it take you. I mean, when you're switching from Ryan Tannehill to Malik Willis to who was number three? They had a third quarterback back there playing. Um, I think Will Levis that they had.
Yeah, Will is
Um,
the starter now, I believe, right? That's who they're going to focus on.
I don't know if they're going to do Will or Malik.
Hmm.
But I do know you went through all three of your quarterbacks, and I mean, There's a reason why you're going through these quarterbacks because they getting hurt. You're not going through them because it's not like it's Pittsburgh where they was going through them because Mac Jones would mess up and then Zappy would mess up, so they'll bring in Mac Jones for him to mess up. No, you had your quarterbacks weren't there because they were hurt.
Right,
Because
right,
they
right,
had to
right,
run
right.
for their lives. You offensive line should have been where you go. So C is where you go for me.
All right, so C for them, and wrapping up the last team, I believe. Yep, the last team of the draft, which was the second team in this draft, actually, the Washington Commanders. I'm gonna tell you this: A minus, A minus, A minus. They will sell tickets, and they will be electrifying. A minus. Now, Jaden Daniels will run for his life, but they got some athletes out there. Yo, I'm telling you. Let's see. Jaden Daniels at quarterback. Ben tight end out of Kansas State. Luke McCaffrey. Yo. And then they already got receivers. Yo. Look, this team, if they have the right scheme, gonna be dangerous. J- Jaden Daniels is electrifying. This dude is basically Lamar Jackson. He's Lamar Jackson. I'm telling you. I mean, you need a line for him. Barely. He'll make it work. You got to catch him. You got to catch him. You got to catch me if you can. I'm gone. Pew. That's him. I like what I see. It's an A minus draft for me.
Uh, A minus for me too. We will be known as the NFC Beast this year, and not the NFC Least.
I agree with
Uh,
that. Yeah, that's true. I agree.
uh, they just did great with their drafts. Like I said, you what we knew what you needed, quarterback. We knew that y'all bring in Austin Eckler to come in to play the running back spot. And now you have Scary Terry, you had Dotson,
Right.
you have Curtis Samuel. Now
Curtis
you bringing
Samuel,
in
Luke,
Luke McCaffrey.
Lukey, Uncle Luke.
You bringing in another McCaffrey to take over. I mean, you got defense. You like I said, you know what the power is in the NFC East. It's in the offensive receivers. That's where the power is. And then of course, Jalen Hurts and his legs, and you got Saquon Barkley to guard. Um, outside
That's a
of
scary
outside of New
team,
York,
man. Jeez.
outside of New York, outside of New York, the your defense needs to stand up because the Cowboys was first in touchdown receptions last year. I think second in yardage. So you got to cover these high powered offensive teams, and you're going to get the defense to do it. So they went and got defense cornerbacks to help out. You got a tight end with a main target for your rookie quarterback. Plus he got studs at receiver. Uh,
That boy can run too. No, that
yeah,
boy can run.
yeah, and he's gonna have to because that's one thing they don't have is offensive line. And I know I've gave a lot of people a bad grade for offensive line,
He
but
used to it though. LSU ain't have a good offensive line either. He used to running.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the thing is, Sam Howell was still putting up major points with that offensive line. It's just Sam Howell couldn't get it done in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But he put up major yards against a team. And so therefore, I can't give him a B because the offensive line didn't need as much patchwork as like the Panthers or the Bears. They don't need as much patchwork. Um, so I'm gonna go A minus too.
Man, NFC Beast is a right name, a right moniker for that squad and for that division. Um, good luck. That's all I gotta say. Good luck. I'll be watching. I'll be watching a lot of it. Well, that's it, folks. That will wrap up our 2024 draft recap, where Q and I went over all the teams of the NFL and gave them a grade. A couple winners, couple losers, couple head scratchers. But we know what? There's a lot of exciting football coming up this year. And look forward to discussing that week in, week out with Q on the Objective Opinion podcast. And thanks for tuning in, and we will see you soon.
Yes, sir.